Hello everyone, welcome to CRT College of Engineering Online Education. In the last class, we have seen the classification of the hydro power plants. Basically, it depends upon some of the parameters we have classified our hydro power plants into four categories. The first one is based upon the depth, and the second one is based upon the storage of water, and the next one is based upon how we are using those hydro power plants, whether it into a peak stress or a base load plant. And the next one is installed capacity. So already we have completed the three types of classification in the last class. Now, and the second one is after completion of the three topics, we have seen how to see the practical scheduling data by considering the a official site that is nothing but a business. So already we have seen these 2 points in the last class. Now in this class, we will see the continuation of the last class, that is classification of hydroelectric power plants. So we have one classification is there that is nothing but depends upon the storage of water. So once it is completed, I will tell you the brief idea about our GATE examination. Means how to prepare for the GATE examination, and I will try to give the basic information about the GATE examination. And one more thing is at the end of this session, I will share my strategy about a GATE examination because during my BTech and MTech, I have written 4 times, and in those 4 times, I got more than 90% in all the 4 times. So that's why whatever the strategy I just followed during those days, the same strategy I will share to you. So definitely it will help a lot for you. So first we will take the continuation of the last class, that is classification of hydropower plants. So basically how many plants are there here? We can classify 4 types. First one is runoff river without ponds, and the second one is a runoff river with ponds. Third one is a reservoir type, and the fourth one is pumped storage plant. So on what basis we have classified these hydroelectric power plant into these 4 categories is how we can store the water. So based upon this point, we can classify our hydro power plants into these 4 categories. Already I've shown you in the last class that is nothing but reservoir type and pumped storage plants. So what is the meaning of reservoir type? Please unmute yourself, everybody. Please mute yourself, everybody. So already we have seen the 2 types in the last class, that is nothing but a reservoir type, and the second one is pumped storage plants. So what is the difference between these two is coming to the reservoir type, a dam is constructed across the river so that we can get enough head. So by the usage of that head, we can store the water. So from that, we can get the potential energy. That potential energy is going to convert it into the mechanical energy by the usage of turbine, and that mechanical energy is coupled to the generator. That generator will generate the power. That is nothing but a simple basic model of the reservoir type. And coming to the pumped storage plant, what is the difference between reservoir type and pumped storage plant is, in this one, we have a small reservoir is there along with the main reservoir. During off-peak hours, or we can say light loads, what happens means, whatever the primor is there, that primor is acted as a pump, and similarly, whatever the synchronous generator is there, that will act as a synchronous motor. So some amount of water can be drawn from the lower reservoir to the higher reservoir, and whatever the amount we are taking, that extra amount is used for the next day, especially in the peak hours time. That is nothing but a pumped storage plants. So already we have seen these two in the previous classes. And coming to the first two, that is nothing but runoff river without ponds and runoff river with ponds. Ponds means it is nothing but a temporary storage of water with small capacity. So we cannot store a plenty of water. This is nothing but a small capacity of water we can store it. The difference between these two is nothing but in the first one and in the second case, the head is very very low. Head is means already everybody knows that head. It is nothing but a level of water, okay, where we can store. And in this class also, I will try to play some videos. So from this, you can get a lot of information. So this is a basic principal operation when we are considering the reservoir. So this is your reservoir. So from this reservoir, we can send the water to your turbine with a proper head. Then automatically it converts into the mechanical energy. This mechanical energy is converted into the electrical energy. So this is nothing but a basic principle. In the next video, I will try to show that the difference between a reservoir type and a runoff river plant. Some, the technical point of view, it is unable to play. See, easily you can identify the exact difference between a reservoir type of model and similarly a runoff river. This is nothing but a reservoir type. And similarly, we can understand what is the meaning of runoff. So in this one, we have identified clearly the difference between reservoir type and a pumped storage type, and similarly a runoff river without pandas. So whatever the plant is shown in this diagram, that is nothing but a runoff river in the second side. But the difference between runoff river without pandas and with pandas is when you don't have any pandas. Pandas means already I told you a storage facility. When we don't have any storage facility, the efficiency of that particular power plant is very less because we can't control the flow of water. So when we are unable to control the flow of water, we can't control the power flow generation. So that's why what we will do is along with the runoff river, we will maintain with some pandas. Okay, that is nothing but a runoff river with pandas. So already I told you in the last class, I have shown each and every plant which are present in our state. And I am taking here one power plant that is at Donkaraya. So this is nothing but Donkaraya mini hydel power plant, which is in between upper sea layer and lower sea layer. And already I went to this Donkaraya plant. Now I will play this video, try to understand what is happening here. So this is nothing but a runoff river with pandas. So already went there. This is already told you this has only one unit. That unit rating is 25 megawatts. Only one plant is there, and in that plant, one unit is there. The unit rating is 25 megawatts. And this is nothing but a runoff river with pandas. With pandas means it is having a very smaller capacity to store the water to increase the efficiency. And this is nothing but the classification of the hydel power plants. Basically, on what basis we have classified our hydel power plants into these four categories means how we can store the water. So mainly depends upon this point, we can classify our hydel power plants into four categories. The first one is reservoir type, and the second one is pumped storage plant, and the next one is runoff river without pandas, and the last one is runoff river with pandas. Now, the most important point is a conclusion. Means how we can use these four categories of hydel power plants depends upon our load. Our load already told you our load can be classified into base load at the same time peak load. So what type of power plant we have to use for base load, and similarly what type of power plant we have to use for peak load. This is very important. For example, let us consider the first one, runoff river without pandas. Now tell me, this one is used for a base load or peak load. Runoff river without pandas. Without pandas means there is no storage. So once there is no storage, so it is preferable to use to meet your base load or peak load. Just drop me your answer in our chat box. Yes, very good. I am getting the response from 18 series 236, 252 and A5 and 218 also. That is nothing but a base load. Very good. So why we need to use this runoff river without pandas is used for base load, because already told you that when there is no storage, that means without pandas, we can't control the power generation. When we are unable to control the power generation, then automatically it is used for to meet the base load itself. That is nothing but base load only. And let us consider one more plant, a runoff river with pandas. Now tell me, this is used to meet a base load or peak load? Let's drop your answer in the chat box. Yes, 18 series 52, 34. Most of the people are saying that maybe base load or peak load. The main reason for this have to have with Pandays. So Pandays mean a storage facility. Why we need to have a storage facility here? So already I told you, when we don't have a storage facility, the efficiency of that particular power plant is very less because we can't control the water flow. Similarly, we can't control a power generation. So that's why the efficiency is less in a runoff river without Pandays. In order to increase the efficiency, what we will do is we are going to store the water. That means with the Pandays. When use this type of power plant, it is used for to meet a peak load itself. The reason for having Pandays means storage of water. Why we need to store the water? So by storing the water during peak hours time, we need to utilize that water. So that's why we need to construct a Pandays. So when we have the Pandays, this power plant, that is a runoff river with Pandays, is used to meet the peak load. So this is the purpose of runoff river with Pandays. And let us consider one more thing, that is a reservoir type. Now tell me reservoir type. It is used to meet a base load or peak load. Drop your response in our chat box. Reservoir type. Most of the hydel power plants is comes under in this category only. Reservoir type only. Most of the power plants are comes under a reservoir type model. So now tell me, this type is used to meet a base load or peak load. So many people are giving that response, that is a peak load. Very few people are saying that base load. Reservoir means when we have the reservoir, we can save or we can store a lot of water or plenty of water. When we have the plenty of water, already I have shown you in the official site of AP Genco. If you see this Srisalem power plant and Nagarjuna power plant and Donkraya Sileru, when we have a plenty of water, we are using this type of power plant is used to meet a base load or peak load. Now tell me. Already I have shown in the last class. Yes, 18 series 214 is saying that base load. Yes, very good. So this type of power plant is used to meet our base load itself, because a reservoir means we have a plenty of water. When we have that type of source, means we have so much of potential energy. That energy is going to be utilized for meet the base load, not peak load. Generally, peak load is nothing but a very light load, or you can say it is nothing but a fluctuating load. It is not always present on the system. But coming to the base load, this load is always constant and this load is always present in our system. So that's why when we have enough source, especially in terms of water, this type of power plant is used to meet the base load itself, not peak load. Okay. And coming to the last one, that is pumped storage plants. Now tell me, what is the difference between reservoir type and pumped storage plants? Already we have seen in the last class. Now tell me, this plant is used to meet a base load or peak load? Tell me in our chat box. Pumped storage plant is used for meet the peak load or base load. Yes, very good. 18 series 52 and 17 series A0 is giving the peak load. Of course, I'm getting the responses from almost everybody. So that is nothing but a peak load. Very good. So already we have seen in the last class, pumped storage plant means in this one, the turbine will act as a pump and the generator will act as a motor. So whatever the water is there in the lower reservoir, that should be fed back to the main reservoir. So when we are doing like this, whatever the additional water we are sending to the main reservoir, the additional water should be used during the peak hours time. So that's why this power plant is used to meet the peak load. This is nothing but the conclusion of this class. So we have 4 types of power plants are there based upon the how we can store the water. That is nothing but a runoff river without Pandays, and this is used to meet the base load. And the second one is a runoff river with a pandes, and this is used to meet the peak load. What is the difference between these two? Pandes means it is just a temporarily storage purpose. So in this one, the efficiency is less because we can't control the flow of water. Similarly, we can't control the power generation. So that's why in order to increase the efficiency, what we will do is we'll have some storage facility. That is nothing but we can call it as a pandes. So when you have the pandes, we can increase the efficiency, means we can control the flow of water. Similarly, we can control the power generation. So this type of power plant is used to meet the peak load. And the next one is a reservoir type. So already we have seen the reservoir type and pumped storage plants in the previous session. And this reservoir type is used to meet the base load, and the pumped storage plant is used to meet the peak load. So this is nothing but the conclusion of the classification of the hydel power plants. This conclusion is very, very important because when you are writing any competitive examination statewide or diploma based, definitely you will get one bit from this conclusion. So and so power plant is used to meet either base load or peak load or both or none. So like this you will get one bit from this conclusion. So that's why try to get the concept. Okay, so this is nothing but a conclusion for this class. This class means our first point, that is classification of hydro power plants. Now let's go to the generalized discussion. Already I told you that is GATE exam. So many of you know about the GATE exam, but so many people don't know about what is the meaning of GATE examination and how to prepare for the GATE examination, and what is the strategy we need to follow for this GATE examination, how many subjects will be there. So most of the people don't know about this GATE examination, and let me show those details in this class. So within a fraction of time, I will share a generalized data on the GATE examination, and at the end of this session, I will tell you what strategy we need to follow in this GATE examination. So first we will see the basic information about our GATE examination. The first one is full form of the GATE. So what is the full form of GATE? It is nothing but a graduate aptitude test in engineering. This is nothing but a full form. And the second one is, this examination is conducted either statewide or nationwide. So this is not a statewide examination, and this is a total India-wide examination, just like your IIT entrance. This is not like your MSET. So this is nothing but all India-wide. And the next one is, who will conduct this exam? Whether government or whoever, something else. So this examination is conducted is nothing but one IISc and 7 IITs. IISc means Indian Institute of Science. It is located in Bengaluru, and the remaining 7 IITs together is going to conduct a GATE examination. 7 IITs means IIT Chennai, IIT Bombay, IIT Kanpur, IIT Kharagpur, IIT Guwahati, IIT Roorkee. So these 7 IITs and one more IISc together will set the paper, and these 8 institutions are going to conduct the GATE examination every year. So, and next one is when this exam is to be held. So world events are twice in a year. So this examination is generally happen in the month of February in every year. Okay, but I don't know exactly. In 2021, it is to be held in February or March because of the outside conditions. So probably this may happen in February. Oh, sir, I got some message in our chat box. 18 says 261 is saying that, yeah, I'm saying the same point. February 6th onwards means it is nothing but only tentative dates only. Okay, these dates are not final because of the outside conditions. For example, if the outside is very nice, as usual conditions, when we have the as usual condition, then automatically those dates are fixed. We can't change those dates. But exactly, we don't know what happened in the coming future. So that's why I'm saying these are nothing but a tentative dates only. So every year, this examination is held in the month of February. And next, we will see the important dates for the GATE examination, how long it is valid, whether it is valid for 1 year or 2 years or 3 years. This is valid for 3 years. For example, when you are writing a GATE examination, once if you qualified, then automatically you can use that score for the coming 3 years for the admission. But coming to the PSUs, government jobs, it is valid only for 1 year only. Try to understand the difference. If you want to go for admissions for higher education like MTech and PhD, this GATE score is valid for 3 years. But for coming to the PSUs, this score is valid for only 1 year. And next one is organizing institute for GATE 2021 means in each and every year, only one institute is going to organize. But who is going to organize in 2021 is IIT Bombay. And the next one is important dates means the opening of the application and the closing of the application. So according to the official information, the application will be open from 14th September and it is going to end by the 30th September. Okay, and remember these dates. Next we will move to eligibility for GATE 2021. So are we eligible to write the GATE examination? So many people will get one doubt. Sir, my percent is very less. I have some backlogs. My age is maybe 22 or 18 or 19, so and so. But the answer for this question is yes, you are eligible. Irrespective of your percentage, irrespective of your backlogs, you can write your GATE examination. Sir, how many times you can write? Number of times you can write. Because there is no restriction of the number of attempts. Similarly, there is no restriction on our age also. If you want to write at the age of 50 or 60 years also, you can write it. Similarly, if you have 10 backlogs or 15 backlogs, yes, you can write it. But when you want to use that score, at that time, you must complete your BTech degree. Means you must have your BTech certificate. But as of now, you can apply, you can write the GATE examination, okay, without any doubt. This is nothing but the eligibility for a GATE 2021. And next, the most important point is fee for GATE. So let's see, the fee for GATE is for female candidates. All type of female candidates, the fee is 750 rupees. And for SC, ST, PWD categories, it is nothing but 750 rupees. And the remaining candidates, it is nothing but 1500 rupees. I got one more message that is yes, 61 is saying that 750. Yes, very good. So this is nothing but fee structure when you are applying in between a regular period, that is from 14th September to 30th September. But once if you let it, after 30th September, if you want to apply, then you need to pay extra amount of 500 rupees. Okay, from 1st to 7th October. So this is nothing but a fee about a GATE examination. Okay, 750 for female candidates, all female candidates, and 750 rupees for SC, ST, PWD candidates, and remaining candidates 1500 rupees. This is nothing but a fee. And next, you will consider exam pattern. Means how many questions are there, and what is the time, and for how many marks. You see, it's so simple. Here, total questions are nothing but 65 questions will be there in our GATE examination. Totally 65 questions. These 65 questions can be dividing into two groups. 1 mark questions at the same time, 2 marks question. So totally we have 65 questions are there. That is nothing but can be classified into 2 types of questions, 1 mark questions and 2 marks question based upon the weightage for the questions. And the next one is what is the time allotted for this examination? It is same as that of your university examination. It is 3 hours. So only we have 65 questions only. In order to attempt these 65 questions, will have 3 hours of time. And what is the marks? For total marks is nothing but same as that of your university, that is 100 marks. But here I want to share a shocking news to you. That is university examination is also conducted for 100 marks, both combinedly internal and externally. And if you want to get a pass marks in the university, you need to get 40 marks out of 100. Means we can say 40%. When you get a 40% in your university examination, that means you will get pass marks. But coming to the GATE examination, out of 100 marks, how many marks we need to get for a qualification? It is not a fixed. It is varies with respect to the paper based questions. For example, if the paper is so tough, then automatically qualified marks is less. The paper is so easy, then qualified marks is increases. So that's why this qualified marks is varies with respect to the year by year. Maybe generally I can say the qualifying mark for general candidate is around 27 to 32 marks. 27 to 32 marks. It is nothing but in just average marks. And coming to the one more shocking news, in the last year, means in 2020, the total number of candidates applied for the GATE examination, that number is nothing but around 8.5 lakhs, around 8.5 lakhs from all the streams, from all the branches. Coming to the triple branch, it is nothing but around 1.3 to 1.4 lakh. But one more shocking news is out of that 8.5 lakh, when once if you consider the total number of qualified candidates, it is nothing but around only 12 to 15 percentage. Only 12 to 15 percentage of the candidates are going to get the qualified marks out of the total candidates. It's very shocking news. Out of 100, only 12 to 15 percentage of the candidates are getting a qualified mark. So already I told you that a qualified mark for general candidate is around 27 to 32 marks year by year. And for coming to the, if you have some reservation, that qualified marks may decrease. Maybe 25 marks or it may be 23 marks. It depends upon the paper. Okay. So this is total number of questions are nothing but 65. And the time, we have a 3 hours of time duration. And the total marks is for 100 marks. And one more observation is this year means in 2021, the number of candidates are going to apply for the GATE examination definitely will increase up to 10 to 20% because when you see the outside situation, we don't have a sufficient jobs. Okay, that situation is not so good. So that's why there will be a huge competition for this GATE examination. Definitely, I'm expecting an extra of 10 to 20% of the candidates definitely will apply for a GATE examination. So that's why I can expect somewhat huge competition when compared to the previous year examination. So this is nothing but exam pattern. And now we will see the types of question. So already I told you that here, 1 mark questions are there and similarly 2 marks questions are there. But out of the 65, how many questions will be asked for 1 mark? And similarly, out of that 65, how many questions will be asked for 2 marks? It is nothing but this one. So totally out of that 65, we'll have 30 questions for 1 mark. And the remaining 2 marks questions are nothing but 35 questions. So here, 30 into 1, 30 marks. Here, 35 into 2, it is nothing but 70 marks. So totally, it is 100 marks. And one more important point is a negative mark. So for example, when you are writing any statewide examination, whether it may be AP Genco, AP Transco, AP Discoms or MSET, till now we don't have any negative mark. But coming to GATE examination, yes, we have a negative mark. That is nothing but a 33% means 1/3. Means for 1 mark, when you pick up a wrong answer, you will use 1/3 of the mark. That is nothing but 0.33 marks. Similarly, when you pick up a wrong answer for 2 marks question, then you will use 66%, means 0.66 marks you are going to lose. For MCQs, MCQs means multiple choice questions. Means for 1 question you have 4 choices. Out of those 4 choices, we need to pick up 1 correct answer. When you pick up 1 correct answer, then automatically you will get either 1 mark or 2 marks. But instead of picking a right answer, when you pick up a wrong answer, definitely you are going to face a negative mark. That negative mark is generally for 33% for 1 mark and 66% for 2 marks. Means for 1 mark, you are going to lose 0.33 marks. And for the 2 marks, we are going to lose 0.66 marks. That is also 33% only. That is only for MCQs. And one more positive point is there is no negative mark for numerical type questions. Numerical type questions means fill in the blanks. So here you don't have a multiple choices. When you have the multiple choice questions, automatically you can pick up any one of the answer from 4 options. So that's why they are using here negative marks. But here, when you have the fill in the blanks, so you cannot pick up a one answer. You need to solve that problem. So by the solving that problem only, you can fill up that a blank only. So that's why there will be no negative mark for numerical type questions. This is nothing but a type of questions. And next we will move to the most important thing is opportunities through GATE. So why we need to write the GATE examination? Yes, I got one message. 18 series 243. In 2021, they introduced MCQ without negative marking. Yes, sir. Yeah. Still, we need to get official information. Let's see what happened. So now, opportunities through the GATE. So why we need to write the GATE examination and what are the opportunities will be there based upon the GATE examination. So let us look at this point one by one. So the first one is higher education. So once your BTech is completed, if you want to do your higher education means MTech or MS or integrated PhD. So for that higher education, you must have a GATE score. So depends upon your score only, you will get a seat. It may be in IISc or IITs or IIITs or NITs or famous institutions. Based upon GATE score only, you will get a seat for your higher education. And the next one is PGDIE and PGDPM. These are also nothing but higher education sources. PGDIE means postgraduate diploma in industrial engineering and similarly postgraduate diploma in project management. These are also nothing but your PG courses. And these two courses also depends upon your GATE score only. And one more thing is PSUs, public sector undertakings. So when you want to take or when you want to do a job in PSUs, most of the PSUs, I can say 90 to 95% of the PSUs are taking the candidates based upon GATE score. Of course, there is a huge discussion is going on this point, whether we need to take a GATE score for the PSUs or not. So there is a discussion is there. So that's why, but as of now, most of the PSUs are taking a GATE score as a reference, okay, for shortlisting. And one more thing is research organizations. For example, when you are considering the research organization like BARC and CSR. CSR means Council of Scientific Industrial Research. When you are considering some of the research organizations, both government side and private sectors, they are also considering the GATE score for shortlisting the candidates. And one more thing is teaching side. And most of the, of course, this point is not belongs to you because still you are a student. If you want to get a teaching like assistant professors and associate professors for IITs and NITs, for shortlisting those candidates, those institutions are considering the GATE score. So these are the some of the opportunities. So let us look at one more opportunity side. That is nothing but JRF and SRF. JRF and SRF means Junior Research Fellow and Senior Research Fellow. And for this one also, mainly we have this type of fellowship in ISRO, DRDO, IITs, and some of the private institutions also like Tata, Reliance, like that. So in research institutions, we have JRF post at the same time SRF post. And for this one also, we need a GATE score. And next one is Junior Senior Research Associates. This is also somewhat similar to your JRF and SRF. For this one also, we need a GATE score. And the next one is based upon GATE score, we have some scientist job like in DRDO and some of the national-wide institutions. And the next one is multinational firms. See, not only for government sectors, most of the private sector also are considering GATE score for shortlisting the candidates. Means if anybody if everybody is taking the GATE score as a reference, then automatically the task is going to be simplified for them. because there is no need to conduct a separate examination, because GATE is nothing but a standard examination in India, because this examination is conducted by the IIC and 7 IITs, the topmost IITs. So that's why there is a huge importance for this GATE examination. So that's why not only for government sectors and private sectors are also giving a lot of importance for the GATE examination. And the last one is, and if you want to do higher education in India, definitely we must have a GATE. But other than India, if you want to do your MS or PhD in international universities also, some of the countries, especially Singapore and Germany. In Singapore, we have mainly two universities are there. That is nothing but NTU and NUS. Those two are nothing but the topmost universities in the Asia. They are also considering GATE score. Similarly, if you're considering the Germany, the topmost universities are there. That is nothing but the University of Munich and Berlin University. Those universities are also considering GATE score. For example, if you want to do higher education in these countries, especially Germany or Singapore, you need to have one test based upon the English language test, and one more thing is you must have GRE test. But instead of the GRE test, you can write here GATE examination. So once if you have a GATE score more than 90% or 95%, then automatically you cannot write your GRE examination. So GATE plus one English language test is enough to get the seat in these universities. So that's why this is nothing but a sum of the opportunities. Here I cannot mention each and every option here. These are nothing but a sum of the opportunities. Along with the opportunities, some more options are also there from your GATE. So these are the some of the opportunities. And I got one more message. Let me look at. Sir, will you explain criteria for masters in foreign? Yeah, of course, this is a separate topic. And in order to complete a total about the GATE examination, it takes maximum 2 to 3 hours. But in this class, maximum I will try to give maximum information. Okay, these are nothing but some of the opportunities through the GATE. Now, the most important thing is strategy for a preparation. Try to understand very carefully, because the coming slides, 2 to 3 slides are very, very important. This strategy just I followed during my BTech and MTech days. Already I told you that during those days, BTech and MTech days, I have attempted 4 times. And in all the 4 times, I got qualified marks. And it is more than 90% with the same strategy. So that's why I am sharing the same strategy to you. Let me look at, in order to know the strategy for preparation, we must know how many subjects are there first, and what is the syllabus for the GATE examination. And let me clarify how many subjects are there, first one. So these are nothing but 7 subjects. And one more thing is engineering, mathematics, and general aptitude and English. So totally, if you observe this slide, you can observe here how many subjects are there. So totally we have 11 subjects are there, including engineering, mathematics, and aptitude. So the starting from first point to 9th, it is nothing but 4 subjects only. And the 10th one is engineering, mathematics. And the 11th one is general aptitude and English. So that's why I can classify our total subjects into 3 sectors. The first one is core, from first point to 9th subject. And the 10th one is engineering mathematics, means second sector. And the third sector is engineering aptitude. And I got one more news, that is, I heard news there is 2 extra subjects in the GATE 2021. Is it true? Yes, sir. One more 2 subjects are added. So totally, they are going to conduct this examination for 27 branches, means 27 streams. Okay. First, let me complete this one. Then I will clarify your doubts at the end of this session. So here, total subjects, I can divide these total subjects into 3 sectors. The first one is a technical side, that is 4 side. And the second one is engineering mathematics. And the third sector is general aptitude. So when you are observing here, totally we need to prepare 11 subjects. Sir, how it is possible and how to prepare these 11 subjects? This is nothing but a total subjects, how many subjects are there for the GATE examination. When you are considering a subject by subject, the first one is electrical circuits, it is over for you. And the second one is EMF, it is over for you. And the third one is SS, is over for you. And this is electrical machines, it is over for you. And the power system includes here PS1, PS2, similarly SGP and power systems and PSA. All these subjects are comes under power systems only. Similarly, electrical machines also same thing. EM1, EM2, EM3 comes under electrical machines only. And power systems. In this semester, you are going to study some of these subjects like PSOC and SGP. And control systems also over for you. And one more subject is electrical and electronic measurements. It is also over for you. And coming to the eighth subject, that is digital electronics, means STLD, is over for you. And NLOG. NLOG is consisting of three subjects. The first one is EDC, second one is PDC, and third one is LAC. Out of these three subjects, we have completed two subjects in our previous semesters. So in this semester, we are studying one more subject is LAC. So in that LAC, we are studying about op-amps. That subject is very, very important. Definitely, you will get 2 to 4 marks from your op-amp subject in each and every year. Just go and observe your previous papers. In each and every year, you will get 2 to 4 marks from the op-amp subject itself. So that's why this is very, very important subject. And one more is power electronics is over for you. And engineering mathematics is also over. And the most important thing is, I want to stress this point, that is general aptitude and English. This subject is not only present for the GATE examination. When you take any examination, it may be a central wide or state wide, similarly a technical examination or non-technical examination, this subject is must. This is not only present for the GATE examination. This must be is there for each and every subject, in each and every examination. So that's why there is no chance for skip this subject. Because in our college also, our college is providing almost free of cost for this coaching. Our TNP cell is giving training in especially soft skill and similarly aptitude and reasoning. That training is enough. That training is enough for this subject for a GATE exam. So that's why my request is don't try to skip this subject and be present for your soft skills and aptitude classes for whatever the classes our TNP cell is going to conduct. So please be present for those classes also. Even though if you want to write a non-technical examination like SSC, RRB or banks, this subject is must be there in all the type of competitive examinations. You can't avoid this subject, general aptitude and English. Similarly, if you want to attend any interview, so first they will put one examination. And in that examination also, they will ask some of the bits from the English at the same time aptitude and reasoning. So that's why it is better to give a lot of importance for general aptitude and English. And I will show you the weightage for the technical side and the mathematics and general aptitude in the coming slide. And let us see the weightage for these three sectors. Sector wise, we will see the marks weightage. First one is general aptitude. And this one, the weightage is 15 marks out of 100. And the second one is engineering mathematics. The weightage for this one is varies from 12 to 15 marks. And the third one is corresponding discipline, means from our technical side, it is nothing but 70 to 73 marks. This is nothing but the weightage for the sector-wise marks. So I already told you that you can classify our total subjects into three sectors, that is nothing but aptitude and mathematics and core subjects. And these are nothing but a corresponding marks weightage. Okay. So when you look at the general aptitude, when you are so strong in the general aptitude, easily you will get 15 marks. Easily you will get 15 marks. But even though if you are weak in English, but still you can get more than 10 marks. Definitely I can assure that if you are so strong in only aptitude, definitely you will get more than 10 marks. Similarly, if you are so strong in mathematics, you will get more than 10 marks. Already I told you that generally the qualified marks for general candidate is around 27 to 30 marks. So from these two subjects only, when you get the 20 marks, then how easy to get remaining marks for getting qualified marks? So easy. so easy. But still, if you consider the qualified candidates, it is only 12 to 15% of the candidates out of 100%. It's very shocking. The reason is a lack of clarity and similarly a lack of how to prepare for the GATE examination. So this is nothing but a sector-wise marks, and the most important slide is it is not enough to know about a sector-wise marks. Definitely, you must know the individual subject weightage. That is nothing but I will provide in the coming slides. So whatever the subjects are there, I have divided the total subjects into two sectors. That is nothing but this one. This is a sector 1 or set 1. You can say set 1 subjects. When you are considering the set 1, I have just considered here 1 to 5 subjects like engineering mathematics, electrical circuits and fields, signals and systems, control systems, and general aptitude and English. I am considering these 5 subjects in set 1. And the corresponding marks, these are. When you are adding all the marks, you will get 46 to 54 marks from the set 1 itself. Why I am considering these 5 subjects in the set 1 is, observe what are the subjects are there in the set 1. The first one is mathematics, second one is circuits, third one is SS, and the last one is control system, and the one more thing is aptitude. When you are considering these 5 subjects, all the subjects are related to mathematical approach only. All the subjects. Because when you are considering the jet transforms, Fourier series, Fourier transform, Laplace transforms, those topics are present in each and every subject. So all these 5 subjects are nothing but a mathematical approach only. Means the conclusion from the set 1 is, if you so strong in the mathematical approach, easily you will get 46 to 54 marks out of 100. So that's why I'm considering these 5 subjects in set 1 now. You see, a set 1, a subject-wise priority. And coming to the set 2, I'm taking a set 2 remaining subjects. So that is nothing but especially core subjects. So when you are considering machines, power systems, power electronics, and measurements, and analog digital, these 5 subjects I'm mentioning or I'm considering in the set 2. And these are nothing but your corresponding marks. Of course, these marks are not so exactly right always. And this marks weightage is may varies from year to year. Okay, but more or less, this is nothing but weightage for each and every subject. So when you look at the total marks for the second set, it is nothing but in between 29 to 46 marks. So the weightage for the set 2 is 29 to 46 marks. Whereas when you are considering the set 1, the weightage for the set 1 is 46 to 54 marks. Then you may ask me one thing, sir, if you are so strong in the set 1, definitely will get qualified. Yes, I can say, if you are so strong in the mathematical approach, definitely you will get the best score in your GATE examination. But I cannot say it is not preferable. The reason is, for GATE examination, it is okay. For a GATE examination, whatever the strategy I am following here, this is okay. But coming to the statewide examination like AP Genco, AP Transco, and AP Discoms, the weightage for electrical machines, power systems is huge. Out of 100 marks, you will get 30 to 40 marks from these 2 subjects only. So that's why you can't avoid these machines and power system also. If you want to prepare only for the GATE examination, you may give a lot of importance for your set 1. But if you want to prepare at the same time for the GATE and a statewide examination, you need to give equal importance for all the 11 subjects only. Okay, and my suggestion is don't skip any subject, but we need to prepare based upon the subject priority. Priority is very, very important. Priority is very, very important. So this is nothing but what I have followed during my days strategy. So the simple strategy, first I gave a lot of importance for the set 1, that is a mathematical approach. So once it is finished, you may give a lot of importance for the set 2. Then automatically you will get the best rank. So based upon your rank only, you will get a seat in IITs or IAC or NITs or in any reputed institutions. Not only your MS higher education, you may get job in PSUs also. Okay, and this is nothing but a basic information only. And by taking one more additional class, separate class, in detail, I will explain each and everything, subject by subject. From this, what will be the conclusion? Of course, I will conclude this session within fraction of time. And what will be the conclusion is, or you may consider this conclusion as suggestions also. The first conclusion is, we need to give a lot of importance for the set 1 subjects, because just now we have seen the weightage for the set 1 is very, very more when compared to the set 2. So that's why the first conclusion or suggestion is, must give the importance for the set 1. And the second one is, prepare a short notes. So while you're preparing any subject, please write down some important points as a synopsis, and similarly write down formulas also. Because at the end of the time, you can't open all the books. Whatever the short notes you are making, these short notes will help you a lot, okay, for revising purpose. That is nothing but second point. And coming to the third point, solve a previous GATE and AIS papers. And why I'm considering this point is, when you are considering the GATE, they have not repeated even one bit in the previous from the previous GATE papers. But when you see the previous GATE papers, we can understand that how we can prepare, how our approach should be there. We can understand easily. So that's why my suggestion is, solve as maximum as possible GATE and IAS papers. And one more important point is, attempt number of online examinations. So for example, here, when you have the internet, we will have more number of online examinations. The most important thing is, along with the solving GATE and IAS papers, you need to prepare, you need to write more number of online examinations, because this examination is nothing but CBT examination. CBT means computer-based test only. So that's why you need to familiar with the online examination. So that's why I'm adding this point. And next one is, the most important point is, you must have a strong fundamentals and common sense. So when you have the strong fundamentals and common sense, without having the first 4 points, when you have the strong fundamentals and common sense, but still there are some chances are there to get qualified marks. But you must have a strong fundamentals and common sense, because when you are considering the GATE examination, out of 100 marks, they will not ask each and everything in-depth concepts. And they may ask some of the concepts based upon the fundamentals, basics, and similarly based upon our common sense. So that's why when you have the strong fundamentals and common sense, definitely there is a possibility is there for getting qualified marks. But when you give the importance for all the 5 points, definitely you will get the best rank. And the most important advice for you is, don't go for any coaching. Because when anybody is saying that GATE examination, everybody will say that it is better to go for coaching. But my suggestion is, don't go to any coaching nowadays, because we have internet connection. When we have the internet is nothing but everything nowadays. Just open YouTube channels. We have standard books are there, and we have number of channels are there in our YouTube, especially purpose of the GATE examination only. Refer standard books, and similarly listen in YouTube channels, and prepare previous GATE and IAS, and take number of online examination. Then automatically you will get the best rank in your GATE examination. So this is nothing but a somewhat introduction class for your GATE examination. For example, if you have the time in the coming days, and I will take one more class based upon the GATE examination, there we can discuss in detail. Okay, so with this I will wind up, and thank you very much for each and every one.